The only cure for boredom is curiosity, and there is no cure for curiosity. Look, life is short as is. Doom scrolling your life away isn't going to solve anything. I think that by the time we're old, the biggest deathbed regrets are going to be, I wish I doom scrolled less or consumed less online. It feels powerless because to a certain extent it is. You got the most powerful corporations, some of the smartest scientists working nonstop to addict you, to make your algorithms more curated for you so you can scroll longer and consume more. And I mean, your attention is the resource for them, but you only have so much time. You ever have these conversations with strangers or families, at the get-togethers, and they talk about, oh, what you been up to, or how's work? For us, maybe more deep thinkers, whatever you want to call it, sometimes these questions bore us and maybe they kill us slowly, because as humans, we aren't these simple creatures, right? Specialization is for insects. Us humans, we are multifaceted. We have so much going on. We have so many interests, or much more than just the simple, this is what I do for work. But work isn't you. A lot of us tie our identity, and a lot of older generations mostly tie their identity, I think, to working, right? Work hard. You build so much of your life off of this. You've climbed this mountain, and you're so tied to this identity that you don't want to climb down and climb other mountains, because that would take you climbing down the one you've climbed already. Therefore, the questions sometimes people ask, and sometimes maybe it isn't this harmless, but it sure as hell isn't stimulating for people like you and me. Okay, if you're tired, it's easy to scroll. So what I recommend, look, we're all different, is to start small. Start in your controllables, no matter how embarrassingly small it is. For example, next time you're laid down or there's a fill-in time in your day, instead of scrolling, just put the phone down and just be in thought. I know it's scary because it's bored and I don't want to go there, but once you start to do this, you realize, holy shit, there's much more to me, as well as you learn, hey, I kind of like maybe being in my head. Obviously, sometimes we have maybe demons or problems. We don't want to stimulate these things, right? But that may be necessary for your growth. That's a separate thing, though. I want you to start small, even if it's just 5 minutes of, instead of doom scrolling, let me put my phone down. Maybe after 5 minutes or so, pick it up and continue to do so. It's one big reason why, for a lot of people, shower thoughts is this revolutionary thing where, for this moment in time, you have, sorry if I spit, but you have this space where you can be with your thoughts, and you think of maybe made up scenarios or fantasies or made up arguments. You're literally thinking, and we're so consumed by our daily lives as well as consuming in our daily lives that this one period of time is when we can connect sometimes to ourselves, maybe reflect, maybe make up those scenarios, right? That's literally thinking. And I think the more you do of this just throughout your day, right? Instead of doom scrolling, put that phone down for 5 minutes and just be with yourself. Be with yourself. At the end of the day, that's all you're gonna have. Your happiness isn't tied to finding that funny meme. Like, I love a fucking funny meme as much as the next guy, but I'm 22 and I haven't had TikTok since junior year of high school. What is that? 3-4 years, something like that. Jeez, I think I'm getting kind of old. No, but so when I was in high school, right before lunch, there was this 15-minute period where you got to chill in your classroom before your group got called to lunch. And in my classroom, I found a lot of people were head down, postured, poor, looking at their devices, glued. And I didn't want that. So I started bringing meditations, maybe it was a bit performative, but I did do some reading. And maybe if I didn't want to read, I'd talk to my teacher out loud. And he was an astronomy teacher, and he was kind of like a typical right-wing Trump supporter, as well as like a dad joker, but kind of more red-pilled. I don't really know if that makes sense. But a lot of people didn't really like him. I talked to him in that 15-minute period to the point where I literally seen kids look up and maybe give their input or listen. And by the end of the year, there was less and less kids on their phones. Yes, there are still a lot of kids on their phone, but there's a group of students, including myself, talking to the teacher about whatever random shit was going on, or talking about literally anything. And it was so stimulating, as well as reminding myself that This is the human experience, is each other. And that was just an example of what putting the phone down and not doom scrolling did for me. And now I want to get into what it could do for you. It seems like we are alone in a large part of our day, and therefore we fill in these empty spaces with the easy thing, right? You leave an obsessive person to their own devices, they're going to always take the path of least resistance. And maybe this isn't even only applied to obsessive people, but the average human, right? The average person in America is obese, divorced, and less than 1,000 in the bank. This is our baseline. You think this person isn't going to take the path of least resistance? I take the path of least resistance. You do too. Look, we all do. But it's going to be our responsibility to take action, because guess what? Big corp or big TikTok or whatever bullshit, they don't care about you as much as you care about yourself. At the end of the day, no one's going to be there like you are going to be there. So I want you to connect to that self, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Look, you start to get the ball rolling, then you do more and more time. Then you realize, oh, I actually have some things I like in here. You find some hobbies, some interest, maybe some intellectual interests. I wouldn't have started this YouTube channel, at least the intellectual part of my YouTube channel, if it wasn't for listening to podcasts. I listened to podcasts because I wanted to be stimulated. I wanted my curiosity to be stimulated. And that is a form of media. But instead of listening to music, which I love music, we all love music, sometimes half the time now I put on the podcast, and this podcast will allow me to stimulate that part of my brain that wants to learn and grow and get better and reflect and be a better person, be a better boyfriend, be a better thinker. And this allowed me to finally commit, as well as give me the resources, if not just the bit more courage I needed to take that leap to start this channel. I do writing for some scripts. This one's off the dome, but when I'm doing my daily run and I'm listening to music, sometimes my thoughts overshadow the music and I just hear my thoughts, and I pause the music so I can just continue off these random tangents in my head. The video I'm recording today came off of my previous run. I literally came up with 3 ideas, not all by myself, right? Everything that I've ever consumed, helped me create this, as well as my own self, right? It's this cluster of consuming, which shows like consuming isn't all in all bad, but just be mindful of what you consume. And if you're gonna doom scroll, keep it to a minimum, right? It's good to not do things in extremes. Not doom scrolling, maybe that'll limit you to things you do enjoy, like cool videos that spike your interest or that give you ease, as well as memes or anything like that, music. But you can't have all of that if your extreme is no phone, nothing, no doom scrolling. But on the other side of that, you get consumed by it and you aren't conscious of what you're doing, then you'll get lost in the sauce, right? So it's good to find the happy medium, but the happy medium that works for you. You have to self-categorize, but you have to judge yourself properly, and that starts with being with yourself and in your head. What you need to do will come to you, as well as interests, and you should act on them, right? If you're curious in horror, listen to some horror podcasts. Maybe psychology or bro science or self-improvement, listen to some self-improvement podcasts, or read horror books or read self-improvement books or what have you. You're into fiction, you're into stories, start writing, start a little journal thing, write in your notes app, join communities on Discord, Reddit, whatever. Maybe Reddit's not a good option, but I'm just throwing things out here. Find communities, start a small practice of whatever it is. It could be intellectual, it can be a fun hobby, an interest, whatever. Start small, but start. There are thousands of skills for you to learn, and you can learn them. But we take the path of least resistance because we are human at the end of the day. But you can make a change. You've heard this before and you're gonna hear it again. If you think the price of starting is too high, wait until you're served the bill of regret. The bill of regretting not starting your hobby sooner, your curiosities stimulated properly, and starting building the life you truly want, even if it's just the side. It's not gonna be a 0 and 100 thing. You can start small and slowly build to that, right? A lot of y'all have school responsibilities, work. It's a lot. So to cram more shit in, it's hard. What can you do though? You can doom scroll less and fill in that time with being with yourself and getting to the point where you're okay with yourself. Then to stimulate those curiosities we all have. At the end of the day, specialization is for insects, Us humans, we are more multifaceted. You are multifaceted, and there's more to you. You just gotta start exploring. Sorry the video isn't too structured, but yeah, this is Pablo with Reversing Local Entropy. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day and that you enjoyed the video. Peace!